Hey guys, so today I'm going to go over hints and tips for Dayz as well as programs you can use for Dayz, and I'm going to go briefly over Arma 2. Arma 2 and Dayz, if you don't know, Arma 2 is the original game, so people who are trying to get the game initially here, you're going to have to get Arma 2 first on Steam, and then you get the mods and everything to get Dayz. Now, there's Dayz Mod and there's Dayz Standalone. Dayz Standalone is the one you can get on Steam as well, but they call it standalone because it's separate from everything else. Now that one's not as great as yet. I know it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a lot better, but from what everybody's played, they don't got all the works kicked out with it yet. It's just not where it's supposed to be. But today, first, I'm going to go over some programs before I start this up. This is just my desktop. A couple programs you're really going to want to play Dayz with that a lot of people use and you can use for all the servers. The biggest one is Dayz Commander. Dayz Commander is going to be the number one application to start Dayz. You can start it within Steam itself. You can actually launch the game and start it within itself, but it's not that great. It's not that good. It freezes everything up, and you have a lot of problems with it getting in servers. It doesn't organize it for you like Dayz Commander does. But you come into Dayz Commander, and you notice all these kind of options you can do on the side here. You can really fine tune your searches from your ping to unresponsive. That's a big problem if you try to load it from Arma itself, like right in here through Steam. It's just so many unresponsive servers and so many servers that are locked. So you can immediately get rid of that right here. You can have server counts. You can hide the empty ones, hide the full ones. You can go through all your mods. And that's another thing, is if you don't have this, you have to download all these mods for Dayz manually, and that is I've only done one, and it was a pain in the ass when I did it. So Dayz Commander takes care of all that for you. You can notice it's loading right now. That little green bar was loading all the servers that are responding to my searches and to my version. And then you have your players, whether it's going to be day or night, and the settings. And if you don't know what anything is, if you just cursor over it, this is third person. This is a server that allows for third person. It doesn't have tracers on it. It has nameplates, has crosshairs, and it allows death messages. So you see, you can immediately find what you want. And then this one here allows you to know what time it is in the server. And the names, these, I believe this one is the files. You can usually get some kind of, yeah, this is just the notes about it. But I don't ever, oh, let me open that back up again real quick. Those are just the notes about it. So the one that was right before it, you're going to see it here in a second. This one is your favorites. So see that star means I've favorited it. And then there should be right there. This means it's an unofficial server, meaning it's not it's not connected directly to the hive. So if I was to go into this one and then go into another server, all my gear that was on this server won't transfer over to the next one. So you have to be conscious of that. Now this one, you'll notice that I've liked it, and you can actually save your favorites up in the top by starring it here. And a lot of people couldn't figure out how to unfavorite their, they had all these servers that have been shut down. They couldn't figure out how to unfavorite them. All you do is you just check the star again and unfavorites you for that too as well. But now let's come into my favorites here. You can see that some of them are kind of blanked out. These ones are ones that have updated, and so this one is one I really like to play on. You can see there's 52 players on it right now, but they've recently added Epoch, and I had a problem with my computer, and so I had to reinstall the mods. Now remember I told you it gives you all the mods, so you can notice not found. All these mods for Dayz aren't on my computer anymore, and so I have to install them. So you just click install, and then you're good. That's it. Dayz takes care of the rest for you. You don't even have to worry about it. You can do this when you go to bed at night. You can only install 3 at a time, I believe, but I mean, you just keep doing that, and you're not going to play more. I mean, it even tells you on the side, how many servers are found of that one. So Lingor, there's only 6 servers that you can play on that actually have the Dayz Lingor mod. So it's really nice to see like who's playing on what servers right now. You can obviously see Epoch is huge. Now there's one on here right now. You might have heard it. It's Overpoch. It takes, let's see if I can find it right there. Overwatch. It takes Overwatch and it takes Epoch and combines them together, and that creates Overpoch, and that allows. Now, if you guys don't know the difference between the two, Epoch is like your base building. It adds a lot of like traders, different markers and events onto the map. And Overpoch does similar things, but Overpoch is gonna. Oh, sorry, Overwatch. Sorry, I apologize. Overwatch is gonna add weapons. That's like the number one thing with Overwatch is it's got this huge variety and a disarray of weapons. Now combining the two, you get everything, and that's sorry, that's Overpoch. Now you can see here I can't join these ones again because I don't have Epoch on here right now. I gotta re-download it. See it? It's not found. So I highly recommend Dayz Commander. If you don't know how to get it, just go to Google, search Dayz Commander. Immediately pops right up. It's the first one, and it's really easily installation. It downloads in a couple minutes. So this is the number one thing I'd recommend getting. If you don't want to get this one, there's a couple other ones out there you can get. I know there's a Dayz launcher. There's I forget the name of the other one, but there's another one out there you can get. Now, the next thing I'd highly recommend getting is TeamSpeak. If you don't have TeamSpeak, you really need to get TeamSpeak. TeamSpeak is for so many different games on your PC. It's going to be for everything, and it's compatible with everything. It doesn't do anything besides run behind stuff, and it doesn't take up any kind of space behind it. So you're going to want to go here and go to Google and look up TeamSpeak. Now there's a lot to do with TeamSpeak, but it's really simple really. You have your connections, you can get a server list to see what kind of servers are out there. You can save your bookmarks, but every time you join a server, there's going to be an IP that pops up in the bottom corner here, and that's going to tell you, or over here, my apologies, it's going to pop up over here, and it's going to tell you what TeamSpeak server this game or that server is for. And if you don't know it, you can just type it in the bottom and ask what the TeamSpeak server is, and you can come into it. Or you can just get on your own, and if you meet someone in game, you guys can link up and use TS, and it's way better. Now, I used to use Steam for like chat, like Steam chat, and I swore by it for a while. And then they started having problems with it after I started using it for a little bit, and I noticed that it was just not the same as TS. TS is way better. I highly recommend it. As soon as you go from Steam and you go right to TS, you'll notice, you'll just be like, wow, what a difference. You can hear each other's voices better. You can adjust everything, the settings, the volumes. It's really nice. I really like it. And you can make it so that it's just voice activated, and you can adjust the sensitivity too. This is how I do it, so I don't have to worry about pressing a button every time I talk. You just adjust the sensitivity and it won't activate with background noise, which is really nice. So that would be the second most important thing. Now when you download this, it will ask you for another program to come with it, and that's going to be right here. That's going to be your Overwolf. Let me open this up for you real quick. So Overwolf is going to be this tab. When you're going to see when I'm in game, I'll show you later on once I go into game. This will be here still, and it's just controlled. I just do Alt F1, and I can go right over to it and control this. And I can pop up literally videos from online. I can do a video recorder. The video recorder is not the best. I highly recommend not using the video recorder because it's just not that good. So don't use the video recorder. But you can get other apps too. They have like a little app store, and they have a music player. I use that a couple times. Like when I'm rolling solo and I just want to listen to music and play whatever game I want to play, I can do that. And you can adjust your settings. Obviously, you can get more apps. And then the cool part is this ties in to TeamSpeak. So I can, while I'm in game, if I do Alt F1, I can come over and start my TeamSpeak up, and this will be over all my whole game. I can be controlling this, and I can change what servers I go into. I can change, all my settings. Say something's wrong with my talk thing, I can disconnect. I can look at server lists. So this is really nice. I can do everything here, and I can even pop up and see who's coming in and out of my channel. And I always leave this up. It's always usually over here on the side, and I just minimize everything else, and I'll have my game and I'll be playing, and I can see who's coming in and out of my channel. And this is really nice. I really like the whole concept of being able to come over and just click what I need. So that's really nice. Overwolf, TeamSpeak, and Dayz Commander, 3 of the most things you can get. If you search TS3, TeamSpeak 3, it'll automatically ask you to download Overwolf. And so that'll take care of it. If you already have some other talk device and you really like that, or you don't want TeamSpeak and you're still going to do the team, Steam thing, I'm pretty sure you can still download Overwolf if you want it, but it'll probably ask you to download TeamSpeak. I'm not sure if you can do that compatibility. Just download Overwolf. I'm sure you can, so I'd try that. So that's pretty much for the programs. For Dayz, I'm just going to go over one more real quick just before we start here. So searching for your servers. You really want to get a server that you're really going to like to play on. It sucks to get to, play a server, dedicate all this time into it, get a base set up, and then it shuts down on you. It sucks. I've done it too many times, and you really want to find one that's really going to be around for a while. I find that the unofficial servers don't stick around very long. They tend to die out a little bit sooner than most. But there are your servers. You're going to see when that pops up here, that's going to have a whole mess of people in it. It's one of my favorite servers. That one, right now I recommend playing on that one. I don't know if it's going to be around for a while, but they just updated to Epoch, and that was really nice. It's just not going to pop up now, right? But it's right here. DE 1000, number 1, Epoch, most wanted, base battles, missions, friends. There's all sorts of things that are custom. And remember, keep in mind, there's different things in every single server. So if you join this one, in this one you can mark your friends, and their name will be appeared over them, and it will be that way the whole time you're in the game. Now, if you go into any other server, you can't do that. That is strictly for this server only. So you're going to find that there are different rules and even different HUD that are on each individual server. Everything's going to be different. So don't expect joining your first server to be the same as any other server. It's always different. It's always changing. There's so many different things, and they usually have a loading screen when you come in to tell you what's special about their server. But just keep that in mind, that every server, even the dedicated ones, are usually a little different. But the cool part is, you see I have US 434 here. And if I was to join US 435, I'm going to be okay because I'm going to maintain all my stuff. Now, if I had a base on that server, I might lose that. It's probably going to be gone. But I still will be able to jump over to US 435 and continue with all the gear I had on me. So you might have lost your base, but you didn't lose everything. Now, these servers tend to stay up for quite a while. So even if that does happen to you, which I highly doubt it does, you're going to be all right. So join dedicated servers for a while and get a hang on that, and then start going to your customizable servers, so that way you can feel it out. And then once you do that, then start going into all your mods, so that way you don't go straight into. I know guys who went straight into the Epoch, and then they went back to regular Dayz and liked this one a lot more, and they didn't even know how to do anything, and it was completely different. And keep in mind that the zombie strengths in each mod and each server change all the time too. So he came back to the original Dayz and realized, holy crap, the zombies are like legitimately actually real threat. Alright, so that's pretty much for your applications and the startups and everything. I'm gonna start my stuff up. I'm gonna skip that part because it's gonna take a little bit, but I'll see you guys in game. Alright, so I am actually in US 434. You guys probably saw that in my favorites when we were on my desktop. So here we are. I am actually in the game, and there is actually a decent amount of people on right now, so I'm going to try to keep a decent amount of defensive posture. I'm away north, so I should stay away. I'm away from most amount of people, but alright, so I'm going to try to go over the most amount of stuff that I can without getting shot up. I've been alive for a while, so you can see, where am I here? I've survived a decent amount of days, so I would like to keep that going. So let's just try not to jinx ourselves here, because it'll happen. There's a fog out, so yeah, it's Dayz. You're nervous at all times, just remember that. So the first thing we're going to go over is I'm going to go over the hood. I mean the HUD, sorry. I always call it the hood. The HUD. So you can obviously see my temperature gauge down here in the bottom right here. You can see the sound I make and how well I'm able to be seen. That's more by like zombies. Don't worry about this stuff so much. You can be heard if you are close to people at a certain approximate range. Probably about that. Probably a little bit further than these trees here. This is a bin configuration. It pops up almost all the time in games when you first join, so don't freak out if that happens to you. This is my blood. This is going to be my food, and this is going to be my drink. This tells you what server you're on, as well as you'll see things that pop up down here at the bottom. And that for the most part, that's going to be your HUD. I don't think there's oh, and see, as like I said before, you can go over that Overwolf, and bam, there you go. You can access anything. I can open up my TeamSpeak. I can just click it. It's going to load it right up for me. And then I can get into the full TeamSpeak, and bam, there it is. I can actually join a TeamSpeak channel. Someone could have written something down here, and I can get it into it as well. So that's really nice. Just to be able to do that kind of stuff is really nice. Alright, so real quick, I'm going to go over some settings. Once you get in the game, you're going to want to do this like right away. Open up this and go to your audio options. Okay. Now you can leave your radio. I turn my radio all the way up. I keep my effects down just a little bit, and I turn this down because I want to hear people talking to me. I don't want the game sound inside to be over. You notice you can hear birds chirping. That's the ambient noise. You can't adjust any of that kind of stuff. Your microphone, you want to leave it all the way up so people can hear you at a distance when you talk to them in-game. We'll go over that some more here in a second. But music, you'll notice if I turn the music up, you kind of get like this. It's like you're in a factory 24/7. You're always in a factory, like some kind of mill factory or something, and there's like all this weird noise going on in the background. And that can be distracting, and it can also drown out other noises. So you want to turn that music down all the way down. There's also a thing where people talk in side chat. There's 4 different types of chats. There's vehicle chat, there's direct chat, there's side chat, and there's global chat. Now, the only chats you'll ever have to worry about, really, for the most part, is accidentally talking in side chat, which can get you banned or kicked from the server. Direct chat means you're only going to talk to people in your direct area. And then vehicle chat is going to be, if you're in a vehicle, people in the vehicle are the only ones that can hear you. Now to change that is the keys directly to the right of M. There's a comma and a period. You see in the bottom left, I'm changing through my groups. So I got the direct communication, side, and group, and vehicle. Groups sometimes is global, sometimes it just says group. So you want to leave it on direct communication. And when someone talks, you see everything's blue down there? If I was to talk inside channel right now, if I was to talk right now, which is the cat blocks key, my name would show up in blue in the bottom left, meaning that I'm talking inside chat. That means everyone in the server can hear me. That's a no-no. The global admin down there, Tommy, will kick you and get you in trouble. If you talk in direct, only people in your area can hear you, which is again cat blocks. So, to eliminate you from hearing people that talk inside chat can scare the hell out of you. You can be walking into a building and all of a sudden somebody somewhere on the map accidentally talks inside chat. So to eliminate that, you turn Vaughn all the way down. Okay, so now you can't hear people if they talk inside chat, but you can still hear them in vehicle and direct. So it's very nice to do that. So now let's go into your video options. My video options are a little bit different. I mean, you want to put them. I put my stuff at high. I can play it at very high and even more detail, but you want to have some room to have, you know, lags in cities and crazy stuff that happens in the game. Sometimes things just freeze up on you, and so you want to have a little bit of wiggle room for your computer to be able to think. So right here, I keep my where is it? My bad. It's over here. Post-processing effect. When you get damaged and you get hurt, your screen will turn blurry and you won't be able to see anything. So you want to turn post-processing effects disabled. You want to turn it off. You don't want this on at all. Your visibility range, this is all going to depend on how well your computer can run this game. Some people keep it around 1,000 to 1,200. I keep mine at 3,000. It doesn't do anything for my computer, especially since most servers are going to be foggy at a certain range anyway. But if they aren't, I will be able to see pretty freaking far. Now your video memory, I always keep that on default. Some people say to put it on very high, but I just keep mine on default. Unless you're messing with stuff, just leave that there. Where is it? The zinc and these two, and AOTC just changes type of trees and stuff. You don't have to worry about that. I just leave mine on all trees and all grass. But these ones here, leave this one and these ones on what they normally are for your computer. You can actually set it up in Arma, or if you have what is it, NVIDIA graphics card, they'll actually set it up for you. If you go to geez, I forget what it's called now. It's like perform my computer to the best of its abilities, pretty much a button. But when you go into it, it'll be under your graphics card and it'll say maximize performance for this game. If you have NVIDIA. If you don't, then you're going to have to play with these and find out what's best for you. Texture detail, again, you're going to have to fiddle with all this kind of stuff and figure out what's best for you. Now, some servers allow this, but from what I heard, the new patches have beaten this. So when it becomes night in server, it's really night. If you ask anyone that's played Dayz a lot, night servers can get to be really, really dark. So you can turn up your gamma, and you'll basically be playing in black and white, and I'll be able to see almost as well as I can now, but it'll be in black and white. So it's still going to be really hard to see, but you're going to be turning your gamma up, and it's going to be substantially better. Now, from what I've found out, a lot of the servers have counteracted this now. You can change this, but as soon as I click OK, it just sets back to its other setting, and you can't fix it. So those are a couple things with settings. I don't think, for the most part, there's anything else. So let's get moving on to your map. Let's go into the map next. So map is M. Okay, you have your mouse wheel, which can zoom in and out. And a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people think the first time you come in, you can venture out all the way out to here. That's not the case. You'll see, if I zoom in here, the roads stop leading out this way. You can come out a little bit further, but not that much. Pretty much to this line, all the way around, all the way up, and all the way that across. You can do anything you want in here. Once you get out this way, this is just mindless desert of nothing. And if you park something out here, it'll get deleted. And if you build tents, it'll get deleted. So you don't want to go too far out. But trust me, this is Chinaris. It's plenty big enough, trust me. It'll take a substantial amount of time to run around. Now I put a waypoint here. That's not where I am, but that's where I was heading because I wanted to head away from the northwest airfield. I was chilling here for a little bit, helping some guys out. But you'll see that I'm actually in here somewhere. I'll show you how to find that in a second. But this is the map. So the first thing you want to look at when you open the map is at the bottom, you have these numbers here. Now I'm going to teach you how to actually read a map for real. You can move these around, so if they get in your way, you can just get them out of your way. But now these numbers on the bottom, okay, these are your eastings. Okay, they go from north to south. They're eastings. Okay. Well, the lines. This is difficult to explain. This going from north to south. This whole column is an easting, meaning that the columns are bouncing this way. So this number is bouncing and moving in the blocks. Think of them as blocks. Don't see the lines. Try not to envision the lines as what's going up and down. Envision the blocks as what you're seeing to bounce this way. These are your eastings, and the same with your northings. These are your northings bouncing upwards. So you can see them as they go up. Now don't picture the lines, because it's not the lines that we're looking at. It's the box. So this is 02. Doesn't represent this line or this line. It represents this column of boxes. So these are your northings. The lines going like this, and these are your eastings. Now, looking at your GPS, when you do find one, because you don't start off with one usually, you have 049038. This is a 6-digit grid. In real life, you would have an 8-digit grid with one more number in front of this. But there would be one more number in front of these three, and one more number in front of these three. That's an 8-digit grid. They don't do that in Arma or Dayz, so you don't have to worry about it. This is a 6-digit grid. This is your elevation, and I forget what this is. I think that's the direction you're facing if you have your mills right here. You're facing at 144 for your mills. Alright, I can go into that later for you. I believe that's what that is. Don't quote me on that. I just know that this is my elevation. I don't know what that is. I'm pretty sure it's the direction you're in, but don't quote me. Okay, so now, right here, 049. This is going to be your first easting. You notice I only have two numbers here. The numbers that they're giving me here, these numbers, are in measurements of 100 meters. Okay, this is a 6-digit grid. What you see here is measurements in 1,000 meters. So this whole block here, see the two numbers? That's 1,000. That's 1,000 meters right here. all the way across that block. So ordinary to figure out where I am, I need to zoom in more. Bam, you see now you have 100-meter blocks. So 049, I come over to 049, this is my easting. I'm somewhere in this line now. Now I look at my next three numbers, 038, I come up this way, and I see 038, I'm somewhere in this line. So now I use the red lines, I put the red line on the 038 and the 049. You see that? So this is my location right here. That's it right there. You can put a little waypoint marker if you want, which is going to be shift left click. That's how you place your way markers. Now only you can see waypoint markers. I'm going to go into this a little bit more too, but only you can see your waypoint markers. This is where I am. So if I close out of my map, you'll see that within 100 meters, usually 50 because of the diameter of the box, diameter is going to be the whole length. It's going to be 100 meters, and usually you're not going to be right here. If you place that in the center, you're going to be within the radius of 50 meters from that point every time, no matter what. So you can see I'm almost exactly at 50 meters from that point. So now, that's how you guys read it. That's how you guys read a map. Now you always remember to read it from right and up. Like I said, 049, 038, right and up, always. Now this is your elevation. You don't really have to worry about your elevation because it's not going to change anything. You can see your elevation and contour lines right here on the map. I can go into this a little bit for you guys. I'll touch on it just briefly for you guys real quick. You can see how these lines, they kind of get in circulars and they push out even more and more. This map actually doesn't have a key on it, so I can't tell you exact measurements for Arma or anything else, but you can see there's always a specific distance between this line and this line, and I don't know what it is for this map. Sometimes it's 10 meters, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 25. But on this map, let's just say it's 10 meters. So I zoom into Devil's Castle. This is a famous place for guys that don't know about it. It's way north. It's a very famous castle. So let's zoom into Devil's Castle, right? From this line to this line, the elevation changes 10 meters. So if I was standing here, and then somebody was standing here, they would stand directly 10 meters higher than me. And thus, so on and so forth down the line. You can see there's actually a brown line, and these ones here usually represent a substantial change, as in from this brown line to this brown line, or this brown line. This brown line to this brown line is 50 meters, or 100 meters. So you can tell that coming up this is a pretty decent hill. It's not a really big hill, but it's pretty decent. Other than like coming down here, you can see this one. I zoom in, there's a lot of contour lines really thin. The thinner the lines get together, the more steep the hill is. So if you look at this one, from there to there, it kind of went up to 10 meters from that whole distance. So you could run, that's almost 100 meters as a block, you see that? That's not that very steep. But if you come up to this one up here, look, there's lines right in between each other. I mean, that's like 5 meters. That's like almost like that's a steep hill. So that's how you can tell how steep a hill is on your map. So if you want to look over like Cherno in a better spot or a better position, you can see where the highest points are going to be and where your hill and where your markers are. You can see where the 3 most perfect hills would be to overlook Cherno. So that's your elevations. Now let's go into waypoints and actual, how to control the map. So to control your map, you right click and you move it around. Obviously wheel is to zoom in and out. And I told you earlier that shift left click is to place that waypoint. Now if I double click, let's go over here. Let's make sure this is indirect right now. If I double click, it creates an X and I can mark it. Now you'll notice that in the bottom left I showed direct communication. If anyone was in my area right now, they would be able to see this on their map. No one else can see this besides someone that's right next to me. Now if I change this to side channel, everyone can see that. Everyone. So you have to make sure that if you're marking something, it's set to direct if you want your friends to know about it, not side channel. And the same thing goes for vehicle. Now if you zoom in, okay, and you double click, if you push up or down on your arrows, oh, I guess not. This server doesn't allow it. But some servers will allow you to change this symbol of what you're looking at. So I could change this to an arrow or a red X or like an attack here button or different things. So you have to know what you're doing. it's pretty nice to do it that way, especially if you're doing like a team maneuver. You can have a couple guys make some different points and be like, we're gonna attack from here, here, and here. But this server doesn't allow it, so you guys will just have to figure that one out on yourself and see what points they look at. Now, if I click the center of where I just clicked and click the delete button, not the backspace button, but the delete button, it'll get rid of these. And that's how you delete and place waypoints. So remember, this won't show up on my map neither. If I place that, sorry, on my screen, it won't show up on my screen. You'll see, notice that my point is still where it was before. It hasn't moved. Only if I shift click in the center of it will I now have that mark. So those really aren't really useful, these, unless you find something you want everybody to know where the map is, or you're trying to communicate to your buddies. That's the only way. And in other case, you should just use your GPS so it's easier and give a grid coordinate. So that's pretty much, for the most part, covering your map. There's a couple other things you should know about the map. I told you M is to open the map. If you do right shift M, well, maybe they took this away from me now too. Control shift, sorry, I say this right. If you hold right control and press M, it'll bring up your GPS. So this is really cool. I really like this. Especially for when I'm driving in vehicles and stuff, it's really nice to be able to see the road ahead of me. Because once I start moving in a vehicle, that GPS zooms out and I can see what's coming up ahead. So Control M, that's Mike, M, Control M, right control, M, closes it out for you and opens it up. So that's really nice to do that too. Now let's take a look at my gear real quick. You can see that there's a GPS in here and I don't have a map. The GPS acts as your map. So if once you get a map, you can drop it and pick up other items later on and not worry about deleting items. Because if you pick up an item and this is full, it'll delete it. It's kind of like the mechanics of Dayz. You'll learn that if something can happen, it'll happen because it's Dayz. So just remember that. So it's clinky, no matter how much you want it not to be clinky. This game, I could run into this tree like this right now, and all of a sudden I'd break my legs. It can happen. Trust me, it's happened. So just keep in mind that anything can and will happen. So moving away from the maps now. If you don't have a map, you have Google, and you can always do Alt-Tab, and you can pop it up and see and kind of shift from where you are from there. Using the map, try to remember your coastlines and what cities look like. Let's go into more on cities and loot first, before I stray away from the map and start moving into more loot things and stuff like that. If you come in here and you look into the Cherno, you're going to see some landmarks and stuff. These are smokestacks. They're not too important. The biggest thing for items that are always placed on the map that is actually really important is gas stations. If you have a vehicle, you really want to know where the gas stations are. They are marked on the map when you zoom in to the cities. So that is helpful. This is a church. That's a church symbol. So you know when you come up over here. Some churches are accessible, some of them aren't. So that's nice. And these are bus stops, but I really have never found any use for the bus stops. Sometimes some bus stops have loot at them. That's helpful. If you look at the map, you're not going to know where markets are and things like that unless you compare an online map to your current map. So this is where marking things comes nice. I like to mark things in direct chat if I'm doing this, but I normally don't like to do this just because you'll remember it. But if you're new to the game, this will really help you out. So I know that this is a market here because I've been up this coast hundreds of times. I know that this is a market. I'm going to mark it as a market. Too many markets going on. So it's a market. So I can do this, and when I come back in the game later on, I don't have to worry about searching through the buildings and where stuff is. Do you hear that? Okay, it's just a biplane. I didn't know if a truck was coming through. You guys are about to see me show you some combat skills here. It's just a biplane. Okay. So another thing to look at here for your maps, well, for your keys, is that where is it? This building here. This is a. You can see how much bigger this building is to that building. And if you can remember that, I'll come over to a new city. You see this? Just the shape of it is very similar to this shape. Now you could say that to this building too, which is nothing, and this building, which is nothing. But this is useful for when coming into a city you've never been in before. And say you're out here at Starry Sober, and you're like, I wonder if there's a market in Starry Sober. And you look in here. If there is a market, there's only one possibility where one could be, if there is. Because look, there's no other buildings that are that possibility of having that shape in it, besides this one. And so it'd be a great bet for you to mark that one and check that one if you're looking for food. So it's really helpful to kind of not just give up on what is in the city and be like, I don't know the city, I don't know what's going in. You can still use the shapes of what you do know to identify what's in these ones. So it's really nice. And that's also a church too. So I don't know why they marked it as two different ones, but it's also a church. Oh, you know what? That might be a church you can't go in. Because this one you can't go in and that one you can. So that might be something to check out in a later video. But that's also really helpful. So let's see, what else do we want to cover to make sure there's nothing else that I'm skipping over with the map. I think that's it for your map, guys. So let's move on to areas of where you're going to want to look for loot. So you're really going to want to know your loot when you're searching stuff. We're going to look up into my gear here. Food. Okay, I'm going to look at food. You're not going to find any of this in a market. You have to kill animals for that. But I'll go into that in a second. But cans, MREs are not the same thing. Okay? MREs are going to be more close to like your cooked food. MREs are going to be in military structures. Food is going to be in your market. So you're going to need to know the difference between your loots. And that just comes with experience with the game. Once you start playing and you know the difference on where you find your loots, try to remember where you find them. Because it's really easy. I mean, if you think of like a hammer, where would you find a hammer? Which there is no hammer in the game. Sorry, I should use a hatchet. If you're looking for a hatchet, it's an industrial item. So you should think of industrial buildings. It's really easy to kind of figure this part out. And once you play it for even a week, you'll understand all the loot and how everything works. It's really easy. But it's really helpful when you're looking for food or you're trying to find things. A couple things to know about gear before I move on from items and looting buildings and things like that is things can be deleted very easily. This is my backpack. This is what's in my backpack. By double-clicking your backpack, it opens up a list of what's in my backpack. And you can see here it says Backpack Coyote. If I click this, it closes out of it. Backpack Coyote. That's another key to let you know what's in there. You can see there's a 6 here. It means I have 6 out of 24 spaces left. If I was to take my DMR, which is, to me, the best sniper rifle in the game, personally, and drop that in there, it's going to delete it. There's not enough space for it. But if there is a weapon already in here, a rifle, and I wanted to put that rifle on my person, you would think that if I dropped this rifle in there and pulled the other one out, I'd be fine, right? But there's not enough space in here for it. So how would I switch these two out? Well, you do it the other way. You take the weapon that's in your pack already, and you click it to your inventory. So this is a really huge tip for new users, because guys delete weapons like it's cool. Alright? Now, weapons hold 10 spaces on average, and pistols hold 5. So don't ever try to move shit unless you got at least 10 spaces for a weapon. Because if it can happen, it will happen. Remember that. That's the golden rule. If it can, it will happen. So just remember that. And if all else fails, and you don't want to try doing anything, have a buddy pull it out for you if you forget. But it's really easy, and you can also delete items doing that, so be careful. And you can drop your backpacks, which I'm not going to do because it can delete when you're in the middle of the woods. But when changing out backpacks, I've always done it this way. I've heard of other people doing it other ways, but this is the way I've done it. I have gone up to the backpack and picked up the new backpack that I found. So I found like a good backpack, better than one I have on my back. I pick that one up, and then I open my old backpack that spawns on the ground and takes it. And take my stuff out of that backpack and put it in there. Some people say putting all my stuff into the backpack on the ground and then picking it up is better, but I find sometimes it'll make the backpack disappear or delete the items in it, and so I do it the other way. I pick the backpack up first and then pick all my stuff out of the backpack on the ground. That's the way I do it. Loot in general, when you spawn in the game, the loot around you that's in the surrounding buildings will not appear there. It will be deleted and you won't be able to access it unless somebody's already been there or there's someone in the area that can keep the loot there. So if I was to come down here into Cherno and come into the city and log out right here, and say that when I log in the game I'm going to be right next to the market and I'll be okay. It won't be the case. If I log in, it'll delete the loot in the surrounding area, and I won't get any of this. So you want to be at a minimum, I find, at least 200 meters away. So you want to come up in here into these woods line and then run down and get your loot. If you're trying to live in Cherno, which I don't recommend it. There's that biplane again. I mean, someone probably lives out here somewhere. But that's also the case for if you're in this market. Sometimes, I found on some servers, if someone logs in around you, it will also delete the loot that you're holding in the server right now. So loot and zombies sometimes ping onto people. So if you'll notice that if in some of my videos we'll be in a city and I'll kill somebody, and all of a sudden 3 or 4 zombies will disappear. That's because that those zombies, although they can hurt me too, they were pinged onto that guy. Same thing with me. If someone was to kill me, some zombies in the area will actually disappear. So that's really good to know. And the same thing with loot sometimes. But most servers don't do that anymore, and if you kill someone, the loot should stay in the air. Okay. You guys might actually get me to kill someone. Oh, man. Figures. Alright. Let's see what he is, because if he's a bandit... Oh, I don't know, I might have saw a second guy there. Hoping there was another guy with him. You know what? Maybe when I'm done with this guy's a bandit. I don't know. Figured I was far enough away, but I guess I was wrong. I kept hearing that biplane. I told you guys. So I'm gonna keep doing my video here, but I'm gonna orientate this way. It's foggy out too, so it's dangerous. So you notice that I'm peeking around the corners a lot. This is the way to do it. I'm telling you right now. Don't just stand out in the middle of anywhere. At least use a little bit of cover. Even if you're like this, at least I'm still a little behind cover, and I'm down. So I'm a smaller target, even than standing up, and I'm more steady this way. So that's just a couple of game mechanics for you. But talking about the loot and zombies, those are all the same. Now distances-wise, always matter too when you're spawning that loot in. Is if you come up and you spawn something or loot's not spawning, the distances or the time you've traveled to the building didn't give it time to spawn loot, so you just need to leave the building and come back to it later, and then it will spawn. Normally, for a good golden rule, some people say it's like 30 meters or 40 meters, but just run 100 meters away to be safe and come back, and there should be loot in it. Sometimes it changes with servers too, so if it doesn't spawn in, it might detect you being too close, so you might have to run further. But using food, so you can see in the bottom right, I'm already starting to get thirsty and hungry. So I'm going to eat this can of food. Now you'll notice it barely went up. Barely at all. It didn't go up at all, really. That's because cans of food are not as much as raw as rabbit or bacon or steak or whatever else you come getting off of, animals. It's not the same. It's going to be substantially a lot more. So you're going to have to... I'm going to have to cut a tree down somewhere, which is going to be a lot of fucking noise, which I'm not going to do right now, but you have to have a hatchet to do that. You have to have a knife to gut the animal, so you can kill it with whatever you want. It doesn't matter whether it be a pistol, primary, a hatchet, whatever it may be. You just can't kill it with a knife, which sucks, but you can't kill it with a knife. You have to be able to get a hatchet or something and knock it over and kill it, gut it with this, chop a tree down, and then use matches to start a fire. Now once you do that, then you can eat the meat. Now to boil water, you'll notice I have a water bottle that's empty. When I fill this, it's just going to say water bottle, which means there's water in it. Once I boil it, which I need a fire, which also means I need wood and a hatchet to chop this thing, chop the wood down, and then I also need an empty tin can to pour the water into to cook. All I need to have to do is have this in my inventory. When I go up to the fire, scroll my mouse wheel and click boil water. That'll get me the water. So those are some things that I wish I would have known about when I first started playing, because it really helps the player from getting sick. You get sepsis, which when you get sepsis, down here in the corner of your blood, they'll be like you'll start to bleed. It'll tell you down here that you've caught sepsis and you have 15 minutes to clean your wounds before you start losing blood. And to clean your wounds, all you need is a wipe. So you use the wipe to clean your wounds, and that'll prevent you from catching sepsis. You can also use, which I don't have one on me, surprisingly. I usually take another one with me. But you can build a sepsis bandage from things in the woods, but with plants and a bandage to make it so it's like a wipe. But if you catch sepsis, if you can't clean yourself within 15 minutes, you're going to have to use antibiotics. Now, I always carry a plentiful of antibiotics on me because people around me are always getting freaking sick, and you get one hit by one time, and then someone doesn't have wipes, and then next thing you know, you're going through freaking antibiotics left and right. And that's like the #1 thing where people die from in Dayz right now, besides getting shot, is sepsis. So you really want to make sure that you have antibiotics as soon as you can. Hit up one of them freaking medical centers, or kill a bandit who has one. Don't kill a survivor or a hero. Come on, guys. We're all friends here. So those are some huge tips. Another thing to get sick is, let's see, eating raw meat can get you sick as well. Zombies hitting you are going to get you sick. So I think those are the 3 best ways you can get sick, as well as freezing, getting cold can get you sick. So drinking unboiled water, eating raw steaks, getting hit by zombies, and freezing can get you sick. Now, a cool thing is I usually don't use my water bottles to drink unless I'm on a mission or I'm going somewhere in a long run. Other than that, I have my areas where I like to hang out. And as long as you are sitting by a lake, you can't do it out of the ocean, but you can do it out of lakes and wells. You can drink as much as you want and fill your drink all the way up without getting sick. You can drink out of those without getting sick. So remember, only when you fill canteens and water bottles do you have to boil them. So you'll be okay to drink out of that stuff as much as you like. So that pretty much covers big major key factors about items, loot, and transferring things back and forth. Now, another thing that they've added is blood bags. I don't know if I have one on me. I might have one on me. Let me check. Yeah, I do. I have a blood bag B positive, which means it's not good for me. There's also blood kits, blood testing kits, that you can use to test your blood. It looks like a little folder that's white, and it'll tell you what blood you have. Well, you need a blood bag and a blood transfer kit. You need both of those. I don't have those. It looks just like the blood bag, but it's empty. And that's a blood transfer kit, and that's how you give somebody blood. Okay, I thought the plane was gone for a second. I was like, no way. So that's how you'd give somebody blood. That guy's probably not coming back. Someone's going to kill him at the Northwest Airfield. So, let's see. I think that's going to be it. So, let's go into tents. Let's talk about tents real quick. Tents, I don't have one to show you right now, but when you place a tent, it's yours. It's yours until you die. Once you die, it becomes what I like to call a free-floating tent. That tent will stay there as long as somebody accesses it every 10 days. After 10 days, nobody has accessed the tent. It will be deleted. So you need to make sure that you access your tent every couple days, or else it'll be deleted. Another thing about tents is you can be destroyed very easily by hatcheting them, and they'll be gone, so you want to hide your tents. Obviously, because you don't want people to take your gear neither. But you can also put backpacks in them. So if you're going on like a looting run, just drop your backpack off and pick up the next backpack you find. Ooh, you guys might get to see me kill a boar, which is probably really stupid right now with that guy being down there. But I'm pretty sure he's gone now. Another thing is birds. Birds give away people's positions. So if you're flying in a plane and you look down at the ground, and you see a bird, there's a player within 50 meters to 100 meters of that bird. So you see I hatcheted the animal. I highly recommend using your hatchet to kill zombies and animals, because if you don't, it's just going to give away your position. Unless you have a silencer, which, again, I want to use the silencer even if I do, because that's a waste of a silencer. You can use that round on someone's face. Okay. Now this server, let me see if it's still the same way. It is. Some servers stop you when you want to change. You'll notice that. It might do it with my primary. No, I guess not. It's not going to do it at all. So, it'll stop you. Like, you won't be able to move. You'll stand there like this and do an animation and change your weapon. So this server doesn't do that. It'll change it right away for you, which is, I like that a lot about this server. So, other than that, there's a few tactics I want to go over for you guys. going in and out of cities, you really want to give it a second. If it's your first time and you're rolling solo, take your time going into the cities. Use cover like I do, like this. Some people swear by, you know, trees and brush, but if someone does spot you in the tree, they're going to shoot you. You do have cover, so it's going to be hard to see you. So being in this tree right here, if I come up into it, yeah, it's going to be harder to see. It's going to be harder to see me in this tree like this. But even so, if someone does spot me, they can't hit me. Now, I like to use trees, solid trees, because if someone does spot me, even if they're over there, I can just strafe, and now I have solid cover between me. It's solid. And you'll notice that people, they don't check these trees as much. They check brushes. They check, you know, pine trees. They always look at those. They don't ever think that, hey, there could be a guy behind this tree right here. You know what I mean? They just don't think that. And it's nice because you have clear, you can see a lot more around this tree. And if I need to see something more, I just strafe a little bit and I can see it. And I can always keep the tree. Even if there's a guy coming up this way and he's running right at me, which you guys just hear that explosion, I might do an extension to this clip and go in and just see if I can't kill some bandits for you guys after this. But even if this guy running straight at me, I can see him, and then I just keep him in between the trees. He doesn't hear me ever, and he can run right past me and never even know, and I was behind this tree. Now, it's very easy for him to make a dramatic change real quick and spot me. So that's going to be a downfall to it, and you're never really fully covered by this because you're exposed to the rear. So there are many downfalls to it, but it's going to be your preference. But I really like holding this. Now I highly recommend you get used to using your E key and your Q key as holding it and double tapping. I always like to double tap it because now I don't have to worry about holding. I can move around and keep myself canted and get that nice shot going. So those are some huge key factors. Another thing is binding your keys. You'll notice that anytime you hold the right trigger, you zoom in. You might want to go into your binding keys and keep this as the zoom in, but not the hold your breath. Because if you hold your breath, you'll notice if I sit here long enough, he gets real steady, but watch what will happen. All of a sudden, he starts to shake a little bit more. And it's because he's holding his breath. And there he goes. You hear his breath going. Now I'm bouncing up and down. Now it might not look much here, but at a long shot, if he was way out there by this tree here, those bouncings, when he does that, it's going to be a lot. And a lot of people like to run around. I like to run around like this. I like to see the distance, and I like to zoom in the distance when I'm running around, so I can see things better. Well, when you're doing that, you're running and holding your breath at the same time. It's pretty much the fastest way to get tired and not be ready when you stop. Now, I like to move in crouched because it doesn't ruin my bounce. It keeps it steady when I'm crouching in. So when I'm coming into a city, if I come up against somebody and they're running, and I stop, I know that my aim is going to be more steady than his. So it's a really good way to get that one step up on your enemy because you were crouching. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Make sure you leave a comment. You know, this is just some stuff that, you know, I found that worked for me. Maybe something worked better for you. If you guys see something within the video that's changed, or you notice a discrepancy within it, please leave a comment and make sure you get out there to all them Bambis. Other than that, I hope I see you guys in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe.